Watching it on TV, all you could really say was, wow. The Dallas Mavericks treated the two-time defending NBA champ Lakers like a 50 and older beer-guzzling rec team, hammering them 122-86 and sweeping them out of the NBA playoffs. All right, and here to tell me how they did it, former Maverick great, now Mavs television analyst Derek Harper. And all right, Harp, if I told you Dirk Nowitzki was going to have 17 points and the Mavs are going to win by 36, you would have said what?
I would have said that the Mavericks had the best bench all year long as a basketball team. Obviously, their bench dominated the Lakers, outscored them in the first half of this game, 40-39. And I think when you look at what Jason Terry did, J.J. Barea, Peja Stojakovic, it's no surprise to me that Dallas, in spite of what Dirk did, was still able to find a way to win.
All right, you were just a lad for that showdown in 1988 against the Lakers. Last time, amazingly, of course, that these two teams met in the playoffs. Did you take any satisfaction that justice was served 23 years later?
You know, I have a hate for the Lakers, but I also respect them because they've been so successful as an organization. My career ended there. I played my last year in the league in Los Angeles with the Lakers, so I sort of understand what they're all about, and it's simply to win championships. But you know, all of the things that I went through against Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and James Worthy, there's no doubt about it that I get a lot of gratification out of Dallas finally giving over that hump and beat L.A. in this series.
And I don't think there's any doubt about it that you don't wear those shorts around you. You don't have those anymore?
I promise you I don't wear them. I do have them, but I don't wear them.
Just to show you how far Derek has come, would you just show him the lining of that jacket?
No, I'm not going to show him.
No, I want to see it.
Are you kidding me?
Come on, bring that baby over.
This is a very old lining, by
Harp's
the way.
lining. Zarin, let him see that. Harp's lining on this jacket is nicer than the stuff I wear on the outside.
Don't believe the hype, baby.
I do.
This is an old suit. I promise you, a suit jacket.
Harp's going to break it down here in just a moment for us on this game with the Mavs. All right, in a speech at Rice University in 1962, President John F. Kennedy told the audience, "We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard." Is there any way, he was looking 50 years down the road and 250 miles to the north, wondering if the Mavs would sweep the LA Lakers and do it, not because it'd be easy, but because it'd be hard. Sure looked easy today, though. Mavs fans want rings. And with the two-time defending champs in town, they had them on the ropes. Crowd at the AAC fired up. Jason Terry made sure that was the case. Terry checked into the game late in the first quarter, proceeded to hit a barrage of three-pointers. In fact, the Jet drained 6 in the first half. When Terry wasn't hitting from downtown, Peja Stojakovic was. Peja, 6 of 6 from behind the three-point line. Dallas had a 24-point lead at the half. In the second half, it was more Terry. Cuban loves it. Terry finishes the day with an NBA playoff record-tying 3 three-pointers. Then it got ugly. Andrew Bynum, cheap shots, J.J. Barea here. Barea and the Mavericks, so had the last laugh. Barea drains the three-pointer here. A little redemption. It was the Mavs' 20th of the game. That also ties an NBA record. Dallas Mavericks end the Lakers' reign as two-time champs with a 122-86 victory. Did this game exceed anything you ever dreamt about?
It's hard to say it did, but again, you're right. You know, when I woke up this morning, I just, I had a feeling. I had a feeling that we were going to have a big game, and if that ball swung around to me, I was going to let it fly, make or miss, and thank God it was going in.
As a shooter, at what point during the game did you know I got this going on?
I think when I made my first shot.
Cross court, Terry, right corner, catch and shoot three.
When I hit the first one, and I kind of sensed their defense was sucking in for some reason and leaving myself, Stojakovic, even Dirk at times, wide open. It was like, get your feet set, let it fly, and live with the results. And the results were good tonight.
You know, the criticism coming in the last 2 playoffs, Jason Terry hasn't been good. This team isn't built for a long playoff run. How satisfying is this to not only beat the Lakers, but to sweep them?
It's good, but it can get better. Again,
it can? Tell me how. Please tell me how.
It's going to get better. Believe that. But again, all that I use for motivation in my off-season workouts. And, for me, it's just more fuel. Through adversity, you get better and you realize who you are. And I know I'm a champion. I know my teammates are, and we're bound for great things this year.
All right, and here's a look at the Mavs' history in the Western Conference Finals, brought to you by Sports City Toyota. Marks the 4th time the Mavs have advanced to the conference finals. Dallas lost to the Lakers, of course. We showed you in '88, and the Spurs in '03. Mavs beat the Suns in '06 to advance to their one and only NBA Finals. Up to this point, of course. Now, Dallas wants to find out who they'll face, Memphis or Oklahoma City. All right, again, back with Derek Harper. Jason Terry, 9 of 10 from three-point land. Peja Stojakovic, 6 of 6. They're 15 out of 16 from the three-point distance.
Zone, in a zone.
Now you played in the NBA a long, long time. You follow it obviously very closely now. You've seen a lot of great shooters. You ever seen that exhibition of shooting like we saw today from that distance?
I have not, babe, to be perfectly honest with you. However, you know, if anybody could do it, I think it's the Dallas Mavericks. To me, they're the best shooting basketball team in the league. And obviously in the past, we've always talked about the Mavericks living with that jump shot. But when you get it going, like those three guys you're talking about had it going, you continue to shoot it. I always say that this is the most difficult time in basketball to make shots is come playoff time. I always think that the rim shrinks a little bit, if you would, as the playoff goes further along, but they had it going today, and there was no stopping the Dallas Mavericks. Shot close to 70+% in the first half as a team. That's unheard of.
It was crazy. Every time they shot it, if you're in that building, I know you were there,
yes.
I was there. Every time they shot it, I said, this one's going in, and then they did.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Jet just alluded to the fact that he made his first shot, and a lot of times as a shooter, you get that first one to go in, and the rim just opens up and becomes a C for you. And fortunately for the Mavericks, you know, they really shot it well. And I think you have to give Donnie and Mark a lot of credit because Peja, to me, has been a huge difference for the Dallas Mavericks in the playoffs. Had a big game, I think in game 1 or game 2 against the Portland Trail Blazers, and was huge, obviously, again, in this closeout win for the Mavericks tonight.
All right, Dirk Nowitzki, I know you're a big fan of his. He's been spectacular in these playoffs. True superstar. Will only a championship, though, satisfy his detractors?
I'm going to say yes, because everywhere you go, you hear that Dirk Nowitzki is this. Matt Barnes went as far as saying we have the remedy to stop Dirk Nowitzki. He talked about punking Dirk being soft, all of these different things. And again, babe, I think Dirk is the most unappreciated star that this league has ever seen. The guy night in and night out. I think I heard something today where he is with Bob Pettit and a couple other guys that have averaged 25 and 10 in the playoffs. Right. And to me, that puts him in a very high class as far as being a true superstar in this game. And, you know, he takes it, but I think Dirk Nowitzki personally seriously wants that championship, and he's playing that way right now.
All right, let's move ahead here. We'll go to Phil Jackson. The Mavericks not only ended the Lakers' run as two-time defending champions, Dallas also ended the Hall of Fame career of Lakers head coach, Phil Jackson. The 65-year-old Jackson is retiring again, and this time he says it's for good. Jackson steps down with a record 11 NBA titles. Now he says his career on the bench is over, which had Mavericks head coach Rick Carlisle wondering what the Zen Master might do with his extra time.
I don't know how long you can go to Montana and meditate and smoke peyote or whatever he does there.
Well, first of all, you don't smoke peyote. That's one thing you don't know.
In a pretty good mood there for a guy that just got beat by 36. But you know what? He's sailing off into retirement. And actually, yeah, peyote is a cactus. It's a hallucinogen, and you eat it. But I think you would have had to be ingesting a lot of peyote to think the Mavs would have swept the Lakers out of this one, would you not?
I don't think there's any doubt. I told our great producer, Danny Colleen, that I thought game 1 would be the Mavericks. I thought they were more prepared for the Lakers than they've ever been. It was obviously a good matchup for the Dallas Mavericks, but I don't think anybody would have thought that the Mavericks would come out and sweep this basketball team. There's no way. They're the defending champions. They have one of the best players ever to play the game in Kobe Bryant. And going into this series, everybody talked about the Lakers' length, how long they were with Pau Gasol, Andrew Bynum, Lamar Odom. That didn't seem to faze the Mavericks. They were very aggressive. They attacked from start to finish, pick and roll. LA has always had problems with that particular offense. And give Rick Carlisle a lot of credit. He ran it until they stopped it. Unfortunately, the Lakers never stopped the Mavericks in pick and roll basketball.
All right, and then, Harp, I got to ask you this. As a former player, especially, you'd lend great insight into this. As I'm leaving the building today, everybody's saying, hey, babe, who do you think they're going to play in the finals? Mm-hmm. Not the Western Conference finals, mind you, the NBA finals. And I said, you know, there's still another round to go here. And I think everybody after this happens with the Lakers and as well as they played today, it's like, oh, well, that's a given. But we'll take a look at the matchup here. It's going to be either Oklahoma City or Memphis. Right now, Memphis leading that series 2-1. But there you see, they were 2-1 against Oak City during the regular season, just 1-3 against Memphis. Okay, I'm a Maverick fan, Harp. Who do I want to see the Mavericks play in the next round?
Well, you know, to me, baby, it's about matchups. And obviously during the regular season, Dallas wasn't able to match up well against Memphis did okay against Oklahoma. But I just think it depends on how you're playing as a basketball team. And I think right now Dallas is playing as well as anybody in the league right now. And I don't really think it matters. I think when you're playing on the defensive end the way they're playing, when you're shooting the ball and being aggressive, attacking the basket the way they're doing right now, babe, bring anybody. I think the only thing Dallas has to guard against is becoming overconfident as a basketball team. And the rest sometimes can hurt you. It's always that theory of rest over rust, rust over rest. Having those days off, Dallas has to make sure that mentally and physically they stay as sharp as possible.
And something tells me Jason Kidd's 38-year-old legs won't mind the rest. He won't mind the rest. All right,
No
Mavericks
doubt about it.
turned the two-time defending champions into a group of cheap shot artists. Coming up, find out the reaction from both Andrew Bynum and J.J. Barea to the hit that put Bynum on Barea late in the game. Mavericks fans, things turned a little ugly in the fourth quarter. Less than a minute after Lamar Odom was ejected from the game for a foul on Dirk Nowitzki, Andrew Bynum threw an elbow to the chest of J.J. Barea, who was driving to the basket here. While the AAC erupted, no Mavericks players left the bench or retaliated for the cheap shot. Now Bynum took off his jersey as he was escorted from the court. J.J. Barea said after the game he'd be sore, but he'd be fine.
Did frustration get the best of you?
A little bit frustrated. Just kept making layups. It was a hard foul.
It was a pretty good hit. I'm happy nothing really happened to me. I'm going to be a little sore tomorrow, but just happy we got the win.
You disappointed in yourself for what happened, or you just?
I'm disappointed in myself. It is what it is, you know. We got embarrassed tonight, so that's what happened.
Wow. That's all I can say.
No place for that, huh?
No place for it, man. Really classless as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, a lot of frustration in being eliminated, not only being eliminated, but swept by the Dallas Mavericks. But I don't think you go out that way if you're Bynum or the Los Angeles Lakers. Just showing no class after winning 2 championships back-to-back.
And first it was Ron Artest putting a hit to the head of J.J. Barea.
To nobody's surprise. I mean, you expect that kind of stuff from Ron Artest.
And I did notice this. Phil Jackson took him out with about 4.5 minutes left in the game. He said, you know what, I'm going to keep him from himself here. Took him out of the game. Bynum today, though. Why is everybody picking on the little guy, Derek?
Well, JJ is a pest, number one. He's one of those guys that
and you say that in a good way.
Yeah, I'm saying it in a good way for sure. But JJ, if you think about it, has been the catalyst as far as breaking down the Lakers' perimeter guys, getting to the paint, creating opportunities not only for himself, but for other guys around him. So I'm sure these guys were frustrated from what JJ did to them for 4 games. But again, you know, and not that somebody should come to the rescue. There you see Dirk trying to do something to make his presence felt in that situation. But somebody has to do something when a guy comes and take a shot at your teammate like that. And I'm not saying to the extent of getting eliminated from a game in the next round, but you have to protect your teammates a little bit better than that.
Yeah, and I'd be very surprised if J.J. Barea doesn't have a little cartilage damage to those ribs.
But you know what? It happened to the right guy because J.J. Barea, to me, is tough as nails.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no question.
All right, you talked about guys. How do you handle that? We'll go back on some former Dallas icons in the different sports around here. We'll start with Randy White. How would Randy White have handled that if that had happened? Well, you know what? He would have taken the helmet off. Too bad they don't wear them in basketball. Then you just start beating a guy with his own helmet.
You're talking about a different guy, though, Randy White. You know Randy better than I do, but Randy didn't take any jump whatsoever.
Yeah, when you're nicknamed the Manster, that's what you do. I don't know. Do you hit a guy with a jockstrap in basketball? I don't think it would hurt as much. All right, Darian Hatcher. You remember this? A few years back, Jeremy Roenick had taken out Madonna a couple games earlier, so Hatcher says, you know what? We know how to deal with you. Ooh. Yeah, broke his jaw, knocked out a whole bunch of teeth here.
See, these are real sports, too. These are physical sports.
Okay, Nolan Ryan, you think you'd mess with Nolan Ryan? Heck no you would, because you know what Nolan would do to you?
I remember this like it was yesterday, too, and you don't want to mess with Nolan anyway.
How old are you now? How old are you, Harp?
I'm 49.
He was 46 here, so you can still beat people up.
I'll tell you what, you never want to challenge an old man. It's not like getting your butt whipped from an older guy.
You know who else you don't want to mess with? Derek Harper.
On, don't do that.
Oh, yeah, you know we were going to get there. You know we were getting there.
I didn't mean this.
You know,
I really did. I don't even want to watch this again. I've watched this enough.
You don't mess with Derek Harper.
And in the heat of battle, things happen is all I can tell you, babe. And sometimes you lose your cool. Fortunately for us, we were able to go on and win this series, though. But I didn't enjoy that moment. My kids didn't enjoy it either. They couldn't believe it was me. Believe it or not.
It's so good. Well, Harp, we enjoyed having you on.
All right,
we
I
enjoyed
enjoyed
having you
it
on.
too, man. Anytime.
Thank you, Harp.
All right, mate.
And I really enjoyed the lining of that. I want to make a suit out of your lining.
The suit is old is all I could give you.
That's good. We all are anymore. All right, Harp, thank you. Hey, this Mother's Day, there's a young man who will celebrate for two reasons. He's all about family, and he's now a Dallas Cowboy. Josh Thomas went to Cedar Hill High School and was drafted by the Cowboys about a week ago. Do dreams come true? Well, yes, they do. Here's CBS 11's Steve Dennis.
Gets to the outside, Sanders across midfield.
So this house is not just a building.
There's only one goal, and Emmett found it.
It symbolizes, integrity, what a family, is like.
Grandma and Grandpa, 7 kids, 18 grandkids, 7 great-grandkids. All are what made this house in South Dallas a home for 34 years.
I've been rooting for the team since I was 6, 7, 8 years old, and sitting in my grandmother's house and where I was running around in diapers.
And on Sundays, all those years, the Dallas Cowboys helped make this house a home too.
High stepping to the 15, to the 10, 5, touchdown, Deion Sanders.
You watched the Cowboys in this room?
Yeah, in this room, right here.
Okay, where was your seat? Where was your...
Right here. This is where it happened, and I don't expect to be sitting here anymore. I expect to be on the field, and somebody else can take my seat.
Josh Thomas is one of the grandkids who grew up here. Since any in his family can remember, he has been saying he will someday play for the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, right. What a cute dream, kid. Until, in this house, with all family gathered together, that dream became a reality.
Jerry Jones, he asked me, "Are you there?" I was like, "Are you there?" Because he called me, telling me that I'm a Cowboy. And that's what I always dreamed of.
He was standing in the middle of the floor with tears in his eyes, and it's like, what happened?
A little while later, at Valley Ranch, the Cowboys brass were talking about their 5th-round draft pick.
You like what he's all about. He's a physical corner. He tackles. He worked out really well for us at Dallas State. A good combination of physical traits and also the right kind of guy.
He's always been the type of kid to strive for what he wants, and he did it.
He's gone. It's over. Cowboys win in overtime.
My family's going to remain my family, and they were going to be the way they were since I was a baby. So I expect them to, they're going to say, we need a win. We need a win.
Family from Waco, everywhere.
Jerry's new